Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to All About Literature channel. In today's video, we will talk about Philip Sidney as a critic. So let's begin with Philip Sidney. Firstly, I would like to introduce you to Renaissance criticism and its significance. सबसे पहले हमें समझना है कि Renaissance criticism क्या है. It refers to the literary and cultural movement that emerged during the Renaissance period in Europe, approximately from the 14th through 17th century. रेनेसेंस क्रिटिसिज्म क्या है? एक लिटरेरी और कल्चरल मूवमेंट थी जो कि एमर्ज हुई थी 14th से 17th सेंचुरी में यूरोप के अंदर. It was characterized by a renewed interest in classical literature, humanist values, and the exploration of various art forms. Renaissance criticism played a crucial role in shaping literary theory and establishing the foundations for modern literary analysis. Now we should understand the overview of Philip Sidney's role as a Renaissance critic. Philip Sidney, an English poet, courtier, and diplomat, was an influential figure in the Renaissance literary scene. He made significant contributions to the development of literary criticism through his works and ideas. And what are the key aspects of Sidney's critical approach? His criticism reflected the values and ideals of the Renaissance, emphasizing the importance of art, literature, and humanist philosophy. He advocated for the defense and elevation of poetry, challenging its detractors and promoting its value as a form of artistic expression. Philip Sidney was born in 1554 into an aristocratic family in England. He received a classical education and became a prominent figure at the court of Queen Elizabeth I. Sidney's literary works, including poetry and critical essays, were highly regarded during his lifetime. Now let's talk about the historical or cultural context of Renaissance criticism. The Renaissance period witnessed a renewed interest in the art and literature and also learning. I already told about it. Humanism, an intellectual movement focusing on the study of classical literature and human values, had a significant influence on Renaissance thought. The exploration of ancient Greek and Roman texts, the revival of classical ideals shaped the development of Renaissance criticism. Sidney embraced the humanist ideals of learning, virtue, and the pursuit of knowledge. His critical writings were informed by a deep appreciation for classical literature and philosophy, as well as a desire to reconcile ancient wisdom with contemporary culture. Now let's talk about Sidney's most influential work, An Apology for Poetry. An Apology for Poetry, also known as the Defence of Poesy, is one of Sidney's most significant critical works. Published posthumously in 1595, it takes the form of a literary dialogue and serves as a defense of poetry against its critics. Main arguments and themes explored in the text are: Sidney argues that poetry has a moral and didactic function capable of shaping society and instilling virtuous values in its readers. He defends the imaginative power of poetry, highlighting its ability to provide emotional and intellectual enrichment. Sidney criticizes the narrow-mindedness of those who dismiss poetry as mere entertainment, asserting its significance as a powerful tool for social commentary and self-reflection. Now, Sidney's defense of poetry within the Renaissance context. Sidney's defense of poetry aligns with the humanist emphasis on the importance of literature and art in the pursuit of knowledge and virtue. He draws upon classical examples and authorities to strengthen his arguments, reflecting the Renaissance fascination with ancient wisdom. Now it's time to talk about Sidney's critical principles. First critical principle is imitation and the role of art in Renaissance criticism. Sidney believed that art, including poetry, should imitate nature and strive for perfection. He viewed poetry as a creative imitation of the natural world, aiming to capture its beauty and truth. Sidney's emphasis on imitation reflects the influence of ancient Greek and Roman theories of art and aesthetics. Second critical principle is moral and didactic function of literature. Sidney believed that literature should have a moral purpose and serve as a means of ethical education. He saw poetry as a vehicle for conveying moral lessons, inspiring virtuous behavior, and shaping societal values. Sidney's ideas align with Renaissance humanism, which sought to revive classical moral philosophy and apply it to contemporary society. Now we will talk about Sidney's impact on Renaissance criticism. Sidney's critical works, especially An Apology for Poetry, had a significant impact on the development of Renaissance literary criticism. His defense of poetry influenced subsequent generations of writers and critics, shaping their understanding of the value and purpose of literature. Influence on the development of English literature and criticism. Sidney's ideas on poetry and criticism had a lasting impact on English literature and the development of literary theory. His works provided a foundation for the exploration of aesthetics, rhetoric, and the role of literature in society. Now, talk about Sidney's enduring relevance in the study of Renaissance literature and criticism today. Sidney's critical ideas continue to be studied and analyzed within the field of Renaissance literature and criticism. His emphasis on the moral and didactic function of literature and the importance of imitation remains relevant in contemporary literary analysis. Now it's time to wind up the session, and I want to say that Sidney played a very important role in Renaissance criticism, advocating for the defense and elevation of poetry. His ideas and works continue to be influential, shaping our understanding of Renaissance literature and the role of literature in society. I hope आपको वीडियो पसंद आई होगी. Thank you so much for watching.